Howdy folks, it's Meandering Mike in the Man Cave of Madness. It's after midnight and we are doing an unboxing here of Horrified Greek monsters. This is the third in this series of Horrified from Ravensburger. The first one had to do with classical Hollywood style monsters like Dracula, Frankenstein, the Mummy, Creature from Black Lagoon, etc. The second one in the series was American monsters from American folklore like Bigfoot and the Chupacabra and the Jersey Devil and things like that. And this one is Greek monsters, Greek mythology. And as some of you know that have been following along, I'm working on a card game in the Greek mythological hero journeys sort of genre. And so I've been looking at various games that have to do with Greek mythology in general and with an eye towards the Greek monsters or the antics of the gods, etc. So we are unboxing this in its own right as this game of Horrified, and with an eye towards looking at it for what kind of interesting tidbits we can mine from it for possible use in a game. I'm not looking for mechanics to borrow or leverage anything, but just sort of the creatures, the characters, some of the just ideas of things that might be interesting that people might like to see in a card game on Greek mythology. Now, normally I would be using my Oyster Shucker +2 of power for shrink wrap removal, but these Ravensburger games don't come in shrink wrap. Instead, they have 4 sort of circular pieces of tape on each edge. You can try to peel those off, but they can leave a residue. They can also potentially tear stuff. So instead, we're going to use our magical paratrooper knife of power. Is it a paratrooper knife? You say, well, you see this hollow frame here? That's why. It's sturdy, but it's light, and paratroopers don't want to carry a lot of extra weight. So now I'm not selling weapons. I'm not advocating weapons. I'm not a weapons dealer. This is just a knife I'm using to cut into this. So, all right. Do that. This is actually not as sharp as it should be. This part is very sharp, the cutting edge, but I have not sharpened the actual blade in a while. And yes, of course, that's bad. You want a sharp knife. A sharp knife is a good knife. All your tools should be in proper working condition. So that's something I need to get to. All right, I'm going to zoom back so I can see this a little better as we get into it. That slides off nice. Put that back there. Pretty nice artwork. Here we can obviously Minotaur. Looks like a Gorgon, Medusa. Medusa is the name of a Gorgon. A Gorgon is the type of creature in Greek mythology. Now, in Dungeons and Dragons, they actually implemented Gorgons differently than Medusa. Has 2 separate things. That's sort of like not good Greek mythology, but that happened. All right, let's look at what we got in the box. Right on the top is the map. It is a mounted map for section. All right, I'm gonna move this back a little bit. I'm zoomed out as much as I can. All right, so we have the Agora, which is the marketplace or the open space. And somebody has agoraphobia, has a fear of open spaces. Stables, crossroads, vineyards, gaseous swamp, Bay of Ghosts. You can't quite see that there. Lighthouse, a port, temples of Hades, the god of the underworld, statue of Talos, a layer token. These are interesting here. Ruins, Temple of Nyx, Trading Post, Temple of Athena, Necropolis, which is a burial place, necro, meaning the dead, Temple of Zeus. So not all the gods. I do not know Odeon. It looks like a stadium. Well, here's a stadium, so I'm not sure. That's something to look up. What's an Odeon versus a stadium? A gymnasium, which has multiple meanings. We take gymnasium as a place to do exercise, but it was also a place to exercise the mind. The gymnasium, where you would go train your mind also. Okay, so these are all settings in the game where you can encounter these various monsters and I assume other, people that you're protecting from the monsters or whatnot here. So let's set this aside, fold this up. Pandora's box has been breached. It says 6 monsters have erupted from its infinite depths. You have been chosen by the gods to work together, so it's cooperative, and rid our world of this scourge. Make haste, for if you fail in your task, you shall be plunged into everlasting fear. So that's kind of nice that they have a little blurb on the back, but sort of the front as you open it of the, the game board. So here's the rule book. It's not even a full 8.5 by 11 page. It's a little smaller. I'm not sure what size this is. It's probably one of those European sizes. Ravensburger, as far as I know, is indeed a European company. I would assume Germany, but could be Belgium or Netherlands. Yeah, this just doesn't quite look 8.5 by 11. So what is it? The A, is it A2 or A3 or they're little different sizes. Like we have 8.5 by 11 and we have 11 by 17 and the European standard sizes don't quite match our sizes, and so this looks like this is some slightly smaller than an 8.5 by 11. Okay, so we have hero standees, legend standees. I'm trying to read that. Let's see. Oh, Jason, Orion. I can't read all of them. You might be able to read it better than I can, but with my eyes, Atlanta, Hippolyta, item tokens, so weapons and armor, slings, laurel wreath, trident. So these would have various effects. Not sure what, but terror markers, frenzy. An item bag. All right, so yeah, it's not a cloth bag. Interesting. So it's like a vinyl with a ripstop fabric with a Velcro top. It does widen out, so you should be able to actually almost stand, and then you can reach in to grab things out of that. It's interesting. Instead of going the cloth bag route, the counters are in shrink wrap. So they don't shrink wrap the box, but they do shrink wrap the counters. And I don't know. These are nice rounded corners, all this stuff. I don't even know why they even shrink wrap those. I mean, they're relatively thick. It feels like they're probably not going to just fall right out. But maybe they do. Maybe they shrink it just because they don't want them all falling out. Monster mats. There are monster figurines. So plastic minis. Oh, these are rather big in detail. This is nice. Okay, they're a semi-soft kind of plastic, so you can see the arrow from her bow. So that's the Medusa, a Gorgon with the bow. This would be a Harpy. That would be Cockatrice or Basilisk, depending on which. Let's see, did they say, maybe on the back of the box, but somewhere in here it'll say which the monsters are. monster setup. Come on. Well, I don't know. So obviously there's the Minotaur or Minotaur. Again, which way you want to pronounce it, up to you. Okay, so Cerberus or Cerberus, depending if you're going to go the hard C, soft C route. So it'll be a Chimera. Now that's the CH of Chimera in Greek is there's a hard K, kappa, but then there's the X in Greek forms a like the clearing the throat sound. So Chimera is that the all right. So there we go. Those are pretty cool. So we're looking at the rule book, looking at the components. Oh, there's a labyrinth here. Yeah, Chimera, Cerberus, or Cerberus, Medusa, Siren. Okay, so they're calling, not a harpy, but they're calling her Siren. Okay. Luring men onto the rocks. Now, in certain incarnations of sirens, they don't necessarily fly. Some are sea creatures and lure the men down and under, not just wanting to lure them to their dooms on the rocks and dying, but actually luring them under. So their interpretation in this one is of a flying siren, winged and feathered. All right, terror level monster mats, hero phase. Difficulty scale. So interesting, they have your first game, play it with only 2 monsters. Standard game, any 3 monsters. Challenge game 4. So there are 6 monsters, but you normally max play with 4. So even in the top challenge rating, you go with 4 monsters at a time. 3 in a standard game. Your first game or 2, just play with 2 monsters. Alrighty. Sounds reasonably good to have a nice scalable difficulty factor. All right. So let me keep looking through what's in there. We saw standees, and it said the clear ones were 4, and they're so the punch outables are on in here somewhere. So there's looks like at least 4 counter sheets. So let's see, can I actually have my knife out and handy, and looked like there was a edge here that would be, of course I have to be careful because my knife isn't super sharp, and therefore don't want to accidentally try to stab it in such a way where it slips and doesn't cut and it goes, and then it cuts the wrong thing. That's always a danger with a knife that is not as sharp as it ought to be. All right, so what we got here, those many items. I think this is telling you where you can find it or where it goes, or the stadium, vineyards, necropolis, temple of Nyx. I don't know if these all start on the board or you have items in a card or in the bag, and then you draw, and if you draw something that's in your location, I don't know. But every single one of these has a location. They all start on the game in those spots, or in the bag, or mosaics. All right, so here we were looking at these stands. So the clear ones that it said are for the legends. So I can read these a little better here. Midas, Io, Daedalus, Circe, Arachne, Atlanta, Chiron, and Hippolyta, Jason. and then unnamed here. So these are the player characters. So items. Looks like there's 7 different classes that the characters can play. An actor, a hoplite, which, now I won't go to that. Hoplite is technically ancient Attic Greek way to say it, but no one wants to argue that now, right? Shepherd, ranger, musician, mariner, traveler. So it tells you where you start. Oh, interesting. The traveler, who I guess has a Pegasus, has 5 actions, but no special favor of the gods. The actor starts in the agora. He gets to discard 2 items to pick 1 item from the discard pile. So 4 actions. He can scavenge through the discard pile. Place your hero in a space with a lair. You can elect to pop to a lair. A shepherd. Look at the top monster card. The ranger. When the terror level increases, draw a perk card. Ability is always in effect and does not take an action. I'm assuming that that's replaced at each new turn. When the terror level increases, every time the terror level increases, you draw a perk card. The ability is always in effect and does not take an action. Does that mean at each terror level increase, you got another card that stays in effect? Or the next one replaces the old one? That would be very, very powerful if he kept adding more and more perk cards. The mariner. Give any number of items you have to another player. So he is good at cooperating, like giving things away. He's like the great mariner coming from overseas, bringing the goodies to distribute out to help people. The musician, place your hero in a space with a legend. So you can pop around. You can move quickly with that musician, and the hoplite can pop around to places with lairs. Shepherd can peek at monster cards. The ranger gets perk bonuses. We'll have to find out if it's ever an increasing amount or if that replaces. The traveler just has extra actions. The actor basically gets to trade in items to get ones that have been discarded. So very important items that have been discarded. You can grab any 2 crappy ones and cash those in. And then the good old mariner feeding other people with items. All right, so, and then there's these cards here, which is about those each for each monster. There's the Medusa, Chimera, Minotaur, Cerberus. I only see 4. There were 6 monsters. Do they not have those cards for the Siren? And we don't know if it's the cockatrice or the basilisk. What are they calling that? Okay, so here are the different parts of the Chimera. Right? He's got his lion, goat, and cobra head. So he has 3 tokens. So this dude does not appear to have an equivalent tile card or cards, as far as I can tell. So we will have to dig into that. to find out about that at some point. All right. Got a deck of cards, which we will take a look at. All right. Oh, so the basilisk, it is a basilisk, not a cockatrice. Some versions of basilisk are all lizard and don't have a chicken type like head. The Dungeons and Dragons cockatrice has the chicken like head and the chicken like it's just basically chickens that turn you to stone, multicolored chickens. All right, so these are kind of thin, but they are kind of a glossy sort of half vinylish, half thick paper. Not thick enough for me to call cardstock. Layers, basilisk. So the basilisk goes in the gaseous swamp. So I don't know why he doesn't get one of those tiles like the other ones do. I don't know, maybe because he uses this or something, I don't know. Well, they have their special things here. Those Minotaur pieces, the sirens, not sure what they're doing there. Maybe they get credit for sinking ships or something. Battlefield, personal dryads, medusas. Those are those different like shields. Enters her little mirror, stop her movement and place the mirror token on her monster mat. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. The basilisk, the various temples, the chimera. Put the heads to sleep by placing items on each head per the layer token. Interesting. Putting the bits and pieces to sleep. All right, not sure what these pieces are. So there were some other pieces on the counter sheet that did not, well, let's see. Here we go. So there's the mirrors for the Gorgon / Medusa. These things here have to do with Cerberus. Okay, you can see the three-headed dog symbol there. So it's like forming a seal to the gate door. And I'm guessing these things on the side are these pieces here. I'm not sure what. Some of them have like splats, exclamation, splat, exclamation. Not sure what all that is, but you're filling them in on here. One door token, glyphs. Alrighty. So obviously there's a little bit of learning there about how all those mechanics work for each monster in terms of defeating them. So already I'm looking at these, these are all pretty much monsters that could easily be included in my game. I could say probably would all be included. Not necessarily. Definitely with Void, you got to have a siren. Medusa is a classic. Minotaur is. Chimera, I'm not as... Cerberus, I'm not sure. He's supposed to be guarding, the gates to the underworld. I don't think we're going to take trips to the underworld in mine. Something with Tree Stone. I would have definitely like a Cyclops in mine. But defeating these monsters, these are a big thing in this game here. It's about cooperatively multiple players getting together to defeat 2, 3, 4 monsters with multiple steps, multiple aspects. In my game, you're trying to journey, you're trying to make progress, and it'll be more like if you have a special item that the monster is vulnerable to, something like, a mirror shield, that's it. One mirror shield will defeat the Medusa. Now, there might be, another way to do it, a couple different ways that if you have the right kind of card with the right kind of thing, you will defeat them and can get past them as a hazard that's blocking your journey. Otherwise, you might take you multiple rounds, or you have to turn in multiple cards to overcome them versus being able to do it with just one card and moving forward. So I can get ideas from these things, like, oh, some kind of glyph thing. I like to talk about putting this to sleep, the chimera, the different heads. So maybe there's a musical instrument. Maybe you have some kind of a dust that you collect somehow. I don't know about the fairy dust. There's not really fairies per se. There's nymphs and other weird variations of woodland type fairy like creatures, but not fairies per se. Yeah, there's potential here to look at certain ideas, but it wouldn't be certainly like, doing all the stuff, all the steps here. That's like too much for the scale of the card game. You need a lot of progress, right? In my game, that you're going to have a number of different impediments being thrown at you over time, and you won't have to have multiple steps to defeat them like that. But okay, so I think we looked at everything here. Oh, there are dice. There's custom dice. Let's see. That looks like they've got stars and blanks. So that's not sure what. So we did have those for what I was calling a splat. So a splat, an explosion. Two. Big fat fingers. There we go. Oh, there is an exclamation. So yes. So exclamation, bang, 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 or splat. So exclamation, 3 bangs and 2 blanks. Whatever you want to call that. So that may just be used for that one. That's the only place that I was seeing those symbols. Where was it? On the pieces for the doors for Cerberus. So getting 3 of these versus needing a splat, blank, and that 2 splats. This should be the easiest combination to get. All righty. So we have not looked at the cards, and there's further stuff in the rules we could potentially look at. We're at 28 minutes now. I don't want this to go too long, so we might not look at too much more in the rule book after taking a quick look at the cards. I know some of you out there think my unboxing are way too long. I agree on one sense and not on others. I mean, if you don't like the unboxings, you're not going to watch them, and you won't be at this stage here. But another universe silent, you're saying, I told you so, they're too long. But I like to go in depth to try to look at mechanics or things, or I'm looking at it for a certain purpose. Sometimes I'm doing a compare and contrast video. So I'm looking at things to compare them to another game, another version, or other games by a designer. Okay, heroes and monster phase. So you can have up to 6 players, I guess. There are 7 different characters, but no, there's only 5 of these cards. So I'm not sure what it said on the box. I can look here at the back of the box. We didn't do that. Normally we do that, and 1 to 5 players. So you can solitaire at about 60 minutes, ages 10 plus. So even though there was 7 different player positions, right? 7, not 6. You normally only play up to 5 at a time. Am I right, or am I? This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I see 7 dudes. Okay. Yeah. Looking at the backs, we got the orange and the blue. And all right, so these intervention of the gods, gifts of Hephaestus, speed of Hermes, So I'm assuming maybe you do something at a temple, or you succeed. Maybe defeating one of the monsters, you get some bonus. Maybe in these orange cards, they tell you when to draw one of these. Not sure. Each player draws and places one item from the item bag. Maybe you start with a certain number of these cards. I don't know, as favors from the gods. Card player takes 2 additional actions. Maybe you draw one of these every turn. Maybe you draw one. All right, so yeah, these are kind of thin. These are thinner than, yeah, so these might need to be sleeved. These are a bit on the thin side. Obsession, monster action. Move each hero and legend 2 spaces towards the cup monster close to them. I wonder what the symbol means in this context. Oh, so there's a because here the lightning bolt monsters. So you have 2 or 3 or 4 monsters. I don't know what the roles that these are taking. Each sword monster. Helmet monster. So I'm curious what that means in this context. Looks like a leafy tree monster. So there's supposedly you're never gonna have more than 4 monsters on the board at a time, but there's many different categories to this. Did those monsters have like did they each have 1 or more attributes on them? Aha, there we go. This is one of the things I do during my, I like to forensically examine the game. So again, the cup, I'm not sure. Whoa, sorry there, folks. I was knocking the camera off the table. So there's 3 symbols on this. Each monster has 3 symbols. So depending on your mix of monsters, like if you have the Siren and the Medusa, and you're only playing, with 2 monsters, or maybe there's the third one was defeated, when they're referring to the monsters with a cup symbol, there's already 2. These other ones, there's only 1 of those. So between the fact that there's, what is it, 7 monsters or 6? Yeah, there's 6 monsters. 6 possible monsters with 3 each. Do they have a full distribution? 1, 2... Yeah, 2 with the sword, 3 with the helmet, 2 with the lightning bolt, 2 with the torch, 3 with the column, 2 with the wings, 2 with the herb, yeah, so they have a mix of 2 and 3. Some of those symbols have 3 different monsters. All right, so that, some kind of a monster event, monster control card. There's some number in the top, not sure what that refers to, some kind of a strength thing. Monster action, it might be like an initiative factor or something of that nature. All right, so in the same deck, besides monster actions, we have legends. I mentioned the start location. So this is monster actions and legend characters. All right, so that's interesting. So let's really quickly try to take a look in there, try to see what the most basic sort of mechanics are. Trying to find a sequence of playing the game. Hero phase. Take up the number of actions indicated on your tile. Okay, so perk deck are the blues. Monster decks. There. Take up to the number of actions indicated on your tile. In addition, any player may play any number of perk cards. Draw a card from the monster deck and resolve it. All right. May play any number of perks. Now, how do you get the perks? So, monster cards. Each play during the player's turn, you're drawing one of these. So the more players that are playing cooperatively, you have more people doing more actions, but you're drawing more monster cards in any given turn. Now, there are some legends in the deck to help you. I'm assuming they're going to help you and not hurt you. Maybe they're competing. Maybe cooperatively you're trying to defeat the monsters, but maybe they're going to steal the credit if they kill the monsters. I don't know how that goes or not. During your phase, your actions, you can move, you can guide, you can pick up, share, advance, defeat. Use one or more of your items to defeat a monster. Yes. Special action. Use favor of the gods. Action put on your hero tile, so that takes an action. Some heroes may not require a special action. So some are just in effect. Some have to elect to do it. Reveal a lair. Legends. During the monster phase, legends might appear on the board. Each legend is trying to reach a specific safe location as shown on their standee. So the legends on the card had a starting location, and based on their standee, they're trying to go to that location. The move and guide actions can be used to usher them to their safe locations. When they reach their safe locations, the active player removes that legend from the board and gains a perk card. Okay, there you go. That's how you get perks. You use your move and guide cards, your move and guide actions, to help get them to safe locations, to their target. And if you did that, if you got them there, so cooperatively, multiple can doing it, but the person that actively got them there removes the legends and draws the perk. So that might be a timing issue. You might want a certain person to get a perk. There might be a reason why you want them to have the perk as opposed to someone else. And so you might want to cooperate in your cooperation of the timing. Perk cards. Each player does start the game with one perk cards. Additional cards by getting legends to their safe locations. It is a good idea to discuss perks and when to play them with the other players. Once you play a perk card, discard it face up. Items are used to defeat monster challenges. Lairs are hidden beneath the city and not known or accessible at the beginning of the game. So to defeat some of these guys, you probably have to enter their lair to get something, or go into the lair to defeat them, or something. Monster phase. Draw the number of items at the top right. Okay, so that's the number of items that you draw. The monster phase. The active player draws a card from the top monster deck, resolves the three parts of it, top to bottom. Draw the number of items at the top of the card, and from the item bag, places them on the game board at the locations. Okay, so as monsters come out, items get activated. The items are drawn at random from the bag and put on the map. So it might take a while before you get items actually on the board to be able to defeat certain monsters. Monsters are going to be taking their actions. They're going to be pulling more and more items onto the board, and eventually you're going to be able to collect the ones that you need. The bag is empty. Return all discarded item tokens to the bag. Shake them up and continue drawing. Okay, so as items are discarded, they're not put in the bag until the bag is empty. That makes sure that you're eventually going to get to all the items before you start recycling through old ones. Otherwise, you might get unlucky and might never get a critical item that you need. So it's very important to remember, discarded items do not go into the bag until the bag is empty. Then you Shuffle back in. Events. Monster or legend. Monster attack. So that monster attack is there's a foot and a number and a exclamation and a number and some symbols. Helmet of Artemis, Sword of Ares, the Vase of Aphrodite. So that thing I was calling the cup is the Vase of Aphrodite. Like a love potion or something. That's interesting. Dionysus, he doesn't have the cup to drink wine out of. He's got a branch, an olive branch or something. Column of Hades. Wing of Hermes. Yeah, he's that speedy god. The Torch of Hephaestus. He's the forge dude, the blacksmith of the gods. So fire, the torch, bolt of Athena. All right, so I think that's enough. We're over 40 minutes. Solo play. When only one hero plays, save the island. The legends doubt your ability to do the job. Start the game with the terror marker set to 3 terror, as opposed to what originally? I do not know. If you defeat all the monsters, you win. If it reaches the maximum, you lose. If everyone is too hard to continue, the island is abandoned to the monsters. Out of time. If the monster deck is empty when you are required to draw a card, the game ends. So you don't recycle the monster deck. You've taken too long to save the island. The legends have all fled. Ugh. All right, where did it say? Put the terror marker onto the clear base and place on the 0. Whoa, at solo you started at the 3 level? Instead of 0? Ay. Whoa, Nelly. Boy, oh boy. All right. Okie dokie. Interesting. All right, folks, we're going to call that here. Meandering Mike, Man Cave of Madness. All right, so these dice things here. The monster misses on the blank. The character is hit by the monster's attack once for each hit symbol. That's pow, hit. And the exclamation point is their power is activated. So it's whatever special power they have, it's activated. So that's kind of ouchy because there was only 2 misses on the die, 3 hits, and 1 power. So I hope the heroes have a way to heal themselves or something. All right, so this was Horrified from Ravensburger. Horrified, the Greek Monsters version. It just came out, like beginning of October. I received mine like at the end of last week. I was hoping to unbox it this weekend. Weren't able to get around to it. So it's got cool minis. It's got monster cards. It's got hero standees and the player standees and a nice little board card. Sounds like a pretty interesting game. And I don't know if you guys have never played these cooperative games. They're a lot of fun. There's those ones where I can't remember the things, but like the Forbidden Island, Forbidden Desert, those things. Like the one where the island's sinking and you gotta rescue the treasures before the island's sinking. Those are a lot of fun. So the pace of the game, the time limit, the increasing terror level. On the Forbidden Island was like the waters are rising, flooding the whole. The island isn't really sinking. The water's rising, but the island's sinking. And you're racing against time, so you got to cooperate and do your best to work together and overcome the getting more and more tense situation as it goes along. All right, folks. So that was this puppy here. So all you good folks out there watching, thank you very much. I'm going to try to keep doing through this month a couple more of these Greek mythology oriented stuff. I'm working on getting my prototype of my card game put together. It's certainly not going to be done by the end of the month, but this has been good progress for me, and impetus to keep going and work on this stuff. And in the vein of it being the month for monsters, Halloween, I will do some more creature or critter oriented unboxings, and not necessarily that are involved with the Greek mythology, but some other stuff. And I will be doing a miniatures giveaway that will have some monsters in it. I'm not sure if I'm going to also be able to work in a game giveaway or not, or if it'll just be miniatures, or maybe miniatures and books, something like that. We will see. So stay tuned. Subscribe, like, have your notifications on if you want to know about the giveaways and things like that. So, all you good folks out there, take care. Enjoy your October Halloween month, and ciao.